Hi everybody. Carissa Spada here. I am really delighted to be here with you today or later if you're watching this recording. So Hillary is hopefully going to be joining us, and I apologize that we're starting late, but I just was so excited to spend some time with you that I wanted to hop on and get us started, since we're talking about something I am deeply passionate about: nervous system regulation for fertility. So if there's any takeaway that you take away from this today, I want you to take away the word body. Body, body, body. The body is what stores emotions and traumas and tensions and memories. The body is what is always present. Our mind is often not present. It's pulled into worry and future. It's living in the past. It's going and ruminating over things in the past, but the body is always present. And the body is what communicates to the brain. So we often think of the brain and the mind communicating with the body, which it does, but 80% of communication actually flows from the body to the brain. There are receptors in the gut that are sending messages back to the brain. So if we want to help regulate our nervous system, and what does that even mean? So I'll briefly touch on that. Regulating the nervous system. The nervous system can be up very, very high. So at its topmost point, that's fight, flight, or freeze. That is when our body and our systems believe we are absolutely in danger, or maybe we are in danger. And the very, very base of that is parasympathetic nervous system response, which is deep sleep. And so we can often live in these sort of up and down, where we're at the top part, where we're feeling that we're in danger, that we're feeling high levels of stress, or we can feel like we're sort of maybe not sleeping, but down really low and wanting to sleep or wanting to not move or feeling lethargic. In order to regulate our nervous system, which will help very, very much with our fertility path, we want, instead of having these high ups and downs, we want to sort of have waves. We want to go somewhat towards the top at times, because that's excitement and that's growth and that's expansion, and that's some of the energy that we get when we're nervous about something. And then we want to be able to drop down and come back and sort of have these beautiful waves. So let's talk about a few practices that we can do today that can support nervous system regulation. Remember the word body. That's how we're going to regulate the nervous system, is that we're going to be in our body, with our body, having practices that are body centered. You might be hearing the word somatic a lot in the world today, and that is a wonderful word to be paying attention to. We want somatic practices to help support our nervous system regulation. It cannot all happen in the mind and in thinking, and there's wonderful tools for the mind and for thinking, but we want to be really pairing those with body-centered practices. So let's take one of my favorite ones, and the reason I really like this, particularly for fertility, is that it's very nurturing, it's very soft, it's very calming. So let's go right into it together. I'm going to move my camera away a little bit so you can see me a little bit more. We're going to take our hands crisscross over. We're going to inhale, sweep up. And on the exhale, we're going to whoosh and squeeze. We're going to do this a few times, and then I'll explain it a little bit more. So inhale through the nose. Whoosh. Let's do that again. One more time, and I'll invite you this time to close your eyes, if that feels okay. So what is that? What is that? It's making a sound, a whooshing sound, which sends a signal from the body back to the brain that you're in a safe place. You're elongating the exhale even without paying attention. I just said inhale, and then you're whoosh and squeezing all the way down. So a longer exhale sends another signal back to the brain that all is well, that safety is here. You're also giving yourself a bit of a hug, right? So this is why I love this so much for fertility. It's particularly nurturing and particularly soft. So that's a very quick practice that can help regulate nervous system. When would you want to regulate nervous system? Whenever you're feeling too high, too low. These practices are adaptive, meaning if you're feeling too low or you're feeling too high, you can come into these practices and it will help you find your way to the middle point. There are many, 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 many practices. If you try ones and they just don't resonate with you, toss it out and try something else. Let's do a quick EFT practice for fertility, emotional freedom technique. Oh, Hillary.
Oh my gosh. Hi.
Hi. Welcome. How are you?
Thank you for starting the show. I'm okay. I just got trapped in a crazy traffic jam. It's the last day of school for my daughter. And so there was all kinds of stuff and an accident and all the fun things out in the world. So
Yeah.
thank
Yeah.
you for starting.
Yeah, no, I was too excited not to hop on and get started. This is, as you know, this is a passion. This topic is a passion for me and always will be. So somatic and body and nervous system and regulation. So we did a quick practice. We've been talking about what it means. So great to have you with me.
Awesome. Great. Yeah. So, and you've been working with women on fertility journeys for a long time. So tell me, like, why is it such a passion? Like, how do you feel like it's impacting women and their health?
Yeah, it's a passion because of my own personal journey. So that's where I think the passion got sparked, but it only continues because of understanding from a my lived experience as a woman is the demands on us from all of the different arenas. And then when we're trying to then add in fertility, we already are living full lives and now we're trying to put this in. And so one of the things I particularly love about working with women on fertility is that often when the journey takes longer than we want, when it becomes difficult, we're left in a place where we sort of have to pause and say, okay, what else can I do to support myself? The benefit of that is that anything that you learn, that you shift, that you decide you're going to take care of yourself in this season of your life is going to stay with you. And that's probably what really sparks me is that this can be a difficult time and can be a time that you plant seeds and plant practices that are going to support you during your fertility journey, during your pregnancy, during early parenting, during teenage parenting, during empty nesting. It's like once you set this in motion, it doesn't leave you. You can't undo this. You can't unlearn it. Once you know something different that is going to support your life, it's with you forever.
And what I love about when you work with our patients or our groups, like you give such practical strategies and individualized strategies because it's different for each one of us. Like if I was told to just sort of like sit and meditate my way through parenting problems, it wouldn't work. Just in the same way that like my second kid, he was born at a time when everyone was like, calm their nervous system, hold them close, hold them tight, swaddle them. He hated it.
Yep.
He wanted freedom. He wanted to be, he didn't want to breastfeed. He didn't want to be swaddled when he was upset.
Yep.
So it's just so individualized. We can't make generalizations for people. And you're a master at doing that.
You definitely can't. And that's, again, it is something that lights me up too, is sort of finding those pieces that work. And that's what the joy of even working with somebody online is. I can offer something and immediately I can see the reaction of like, oh yeah, this is going to work, or we're going to toss, like, we're not even going to go into this. We're just going to toss that out and move on to something else. And same thing with, I have 2 children and one never faced in. She didn't face in. There was no facing in. She never, I would, other people were like, my baby's falling asleep on me. Like, my baby does not, because that didn't feel safe to her. That wasn't how she came into this world. So we come into this world a certain way. We all have our own temperaments. We have life experiences, and we definitely have to find the things that work for us. And practice and try them and toss out the ones that don't. So that's the fun of these practices, is that you find what works for you.
And ladies, it makes such a big difference because again, like nervous system regulation is such a red light for fertility.
Huge.
When you are carrying a burden of a stressful life, this morning I met with somebody who had quite a trauma at birth, not at birth, but in her young years. And when you carry that burden in your body long term, ovary just doesn't get as much nourishment. And there's also a very strong correlation of women who have experienced some sort of trauma or issue that then go on to have eating disorders, because it's a way of controlling their stress, pain, and trauma. Eating disorders, I mean, I'd say the majority of women we're working with egg quality issues, low AMH, not bleeding enough, have had an eating disorder in one way or another. So
Mm-hmm.
there's this path of rewiring the nervous system and rewiring how to eat.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was
And
getting super triggered in the fertility space with the fertility coaches and everything. There's just a lot of speak of gut health issues and really strict protocols for egg quality and really strict diet protocols. And I just don't always agree
yeah,
that is the right medicine. I feel like there is a way in which on a fertility journey, women are often re-traumatized, feeling like they're not enough, they're not doing it right. If they just did this, if they just cut out wheat and dairy and sugar and corn and anything processed and all chemicals, then they'll have success. And it is kind of in the same vein of nervous system dysregulation.
I agree. I agree. It's, if we think about what is the nervous system in terms of when it's feeling stress, it's bracing itself, right? So it's constriction, it's holding, it's bracing itself against potential re-trauma, against potential situations that could cause danger. So when we're bracing, we're tightening. And I say the same thing all the time. If there's anything that's too tight, that's holding too tight to something, it's only furthering that bracing in the gut, which sends a signal back to the brain that we're not safe. And that's how I started our time here today, was saying, if you take nothing away from today but the word body, 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 if we come back to the body, if we remember that the body is present, if we use the body to help exactly what you're talking about, the body can release. It is so wise. The body is so wise. It can release. It can release the traumas that, if our own birth was a trauma, if our childhood, if eating disorders, if the trauma of something said to us in second grade, the body holds and can also it can release. So it's like it comes back to the body. And I'm of the same mindset. If something is too tight, too restrictive, it only causes more of what we're trying to actually free up and have more life force flowing through us. To feel alive is what's going to bring us closer to what we're working towards here, which is to create life.
And it comes out of the energy of flow and ease. This, we see it all the time with the vacation stories, right? Like, I went on vacation and it's not fake. It's like, because it's when you finally are looser in your body, you've released the reins. And so part of learning to flow as you educate, this woman today was also saying, I'm just spending so much time like educating myself everywhere online, trying to figure out all that I can about my fertility issue. And it's like, again, that's a super challenging place for your nervous system to be, because the way we consume information online, I've been trying to just challenge myself and be, as a doctor, educate my community more online. Sometimes I just have to like not ever open Instagram for 2 weeks.
Yep.
Because I'm in my journey of healing. So when you're literally getting information from Instagram Reels, which there's a lot of good information on them, but the way that you're consuming the info is so different than back in the day, like reading a book or calming down. Like, the act of reading a book is calm. The act of a 35-year-old or 30-year-old or consuming information from Instagram, which is essentially a TikTok algorithm, which was like where young kids really thrive. It's
Yep.
next level nuts.
Yeah. It's next level nuts, and it's constant, and it's something is always vying for our attention. So that's another stressor to our system of where am I going to put my attention at? This needs my attention. That needs my, we're information overloaded. So I agree. The information out there is very important, but it needs to be distilled down. It needs to be consumed in a different way. And then it needs to be assimilated and processed, which is, again, why we come back to the body. Even listening to something on a slow walk is another way to just assimilate it and take it in and have it be a different process. So yeah, we're information overloaded.
It is. It's crazy. So Carissa helps run our fertility group at Cultivate Fertility, and we're doing a prepare for pregnancy protocol. We've run this program several times a year because we find that it's just a very good way to settle your body into some of the information, to step into eating a really abundant, beautiful diet, to have self-care practices that feel really abundant, to change some of your natural care products to really support your fertility, to take care of you in a way that feels very nourishing, and over a month where it's just important to kind of take time in making the changes so it can feel slow.
Absolutely. And one of the things too that I think is so important to mention also with this is that, again, I use the word body, is that our bodies communicate with each other. And that is one of the biggest ways to regulate nervous system, is to be in community and with others. So when you're coming together as a group that you offer, we actually, it's just like trees, actually, which are amazing. Like, trees have these incredible root systems underneath that actually speak to trees far away from them, and they actually support and nurture each other. We are the same way. We are of nature. We're from nature. We are nature. So we need community, and we need to do things together. If we're talking about nervous system regulation for fertility, it is colossally easier, much more effective, and much deeper when it's done with others and not done on our own. We're really not designed for that. So it's another point to really mention that when we're coming together, that's when we're going to have our biggest shifts.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Well, I'm so sorry I made us late this morning, and thank you so much for jumping in.
My
Talk about
pleasure.
system dysregulation. I was like, and my
Yep.
daughter was like, there's like nothing we can do. And I was
Right.
like, you're right.
You're
Like, I was like, the thing to do is to either turn on the music and dance, or to breathe and have fun, or talk and communicate. And it's fun how sometimes the message comes through for some of us, and others of us are like holding on like this, gripping,
totally.
and why we need each other in these practices.
We do. And actually, I want to use your example really quick because it's such a good one. So we want to remember when we're talking about this topic that it's stressor versus stress, right? So like in your example, a great example. So let's say you're running late, you really want to be somewhere, you're feeling that stress, you get there, you get to the meeting, it gets done. So your brain might say, oh, good, it's all done. No, the stressor is done. The stressor of being late and not getting there on time is done. The stress is not done at all. Now your body just consumed and assimilated that stress. And until you do some of the things that you mentioned, which is why I wanted to highlight it, because you mentioned like 3 great things, right? Communicating, talking. If we were, not that long ago and you had a stressful event, what would you do? You'd come back to the tribe and you would talk about it. You would tell us about the tiger that chased you. We would have this community experience. You talked about dancing, moving it out. So that's again a takeaway from today, I think, is that remember that the stressor can be done, but until you complete the cycle with some practice of community, of dancing, of singing, of shaking, of stomping, of there's a million of them, that then your body releases it. So it's a really great example because we're all living that life, who isn't late for something, and it feels stressful in the body. So when the stressor is done, make sure you're coming back to the body and releasing the stress.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Thank you. I
Yeah.
needed that. I was like, I'm making Carissa late. She has appointments. I know she does. I'm so sorry.
It all works.
really appreciate you teaching this gorgeous community. We are so blessed to have you as part of our teaching staff at Cultivate Fertility. And we hope that you guys get to work with us and Carissa and our Prepare for Pregnancy protocol. You'll head into summer feeling pretty much better than ever. It's kind of the report we get. And we just got one of our, I'll forward you the email because I know you worked with this woman. One of our ladies just got pregnant after several failed rounds of IVF, just got pregnant naturally at 42 and had unwinded a lot of lifetime stress and career stress. So it's always incredible when you actually see it does work.
Yeah, it's awesome. That's awesome.
Thanks, honey, for being here. So appreciate
my pleasure.
But thank you for managing my stressors.
Oh, there you go. Bye, everybody.
Have a great day. Bye.
Bye.